Okay, the next part of this chapter, moving on, is classification of solids. Okay, broad classification of solids. Now, the solids are classified into two categories. Okay, on what basis are they classified? They are based on the nature of the order present in the arrangement of their constituent particles. Okay, they are classified into two types based on the nature of order present in the arrangement of their constituent particles, which means depending on how the particles are kept in that solid, they will have a different nature. Like, for example, you have seen chalk, right? And you have seen marble which is present at your home, the floor, okay, the tiles. So what is the composition of that? You know, it is both are calcium carbonate only. Chalk is also calcium carbonate, marble is also calcium carbonate. But the nature of the two is so different. Correct? Chalk breaks down so easily and you can write with it. But can you imagine breaking marble that way? No. Why? Because marble is having a very rigid structure. Why is that so? That is because of the arrangement of calcium carbonate molecules in both of those compounds is very different, which we'll be looking at. Okay, so the two types are crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So the chalk which I was talking about was an amorphous solid. Okay, and the marble, which is a very rigid structure, is a crystalline solid. Okay, why do you think marble is very rigid? It is because it's the molecules of calcium carbonate are arranged in a very systematic and a very closed manner, very close to each other. Okay, whereas in chalk, the calcium carbonate crystals are not arranged in a regular pattern and hence it can be broken easily. So the same concept is for the definition of crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So you can see here the diagram which I have drawn of crystalline solids. Okay, the blue dots are atoms or molecules or ions. Okay, and they are arranged very nicely in a very in a line, or it can be a regular pattern. Okay, not necessarily a straight line, it is a regular pattern. And amorphous solids, these blue dots again are the atoms, molecules or ions which are attached to each other, yes, but not in a regular manner. Okay, so that is the definition of an amorphous solids. Okay, from where the name amorphous came? The name amorphous is derived from the Greek word amorphos, which means no form. Amorphos, morphos means a form, solid form. Amorphous means no form. Okay, so amorphous is they have no particular form or they can be broken very easily. An amorphous solid consists of particles of irregular shape. Okay, point wise, now we will be moving on into the difference between these two, and they are very important. There are about 11-12 points which you all have to know as a difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Okay, so the second point is shape. Okay, so we just spoke about the shape actually, but I will just give it to you in technical terms. Okay, so the shape is crystalline solids have definite geometrical pattern in all the directions. So if you see from any direction, their shape or their arrangement of atoms will be the same. Okay, whereas amorphous solids have particles of irregular shape. Okay, irregular shape, which I just described to you. So this property of definite geometrical pattern is called as long range order. Okay, what is long range order? Large number of small crystals, each of them having the same regular pattern. Okay, so you can imagine a small regular arrangement of one crystal, and if you consider another crystal of the same compound having it will have the same arrangement of the particular atoms. Okay, and short range order. Okay, short range order means regular pattern but over short distances only. So in amorphous solids, the particles have short range order. Short range means over a small range order, means they will be orderly arrangement. They will be arranged in a regular manner but only for short distances. Like one group will be arranged in one way, then the other group of atoms will be arranged in another way. So it's haphazard arrangement. It's not a regular arrangement as we see in crystalline solids. Okay, so keep these two terms in mind: long range order and short range order. So whenever you write the point of difference between crystalline and amorphous solids, under shape you should write they have long range order, which means this, and amorphous they have short range order, which means this. Okay, this is the main point under shape. Okay, now let us see what is the meaning of, in the diagram, what is the meaning of long range order and short range order. Okay, so this was what I was talking about. Long range order is this. You can see in the whole molecule the entire structure is same. Okay, it is hexagon form if you want to know it, name it like that. This pink and blue colored are atoms. This might be one atom, this might be another atom. If this is a compound, and if the arrangement is like this, then it is a crystalline compound. Okay, and this is short range order. You can see the pink and blue dots, they are just haphazardly arranged. Okay, yes, there is an order here. Okay, there is an order, but only over a short range. Here if you go to see, yes, it again goes haphazard and the order is different. So this is short range order, and this is true for amorphous solids. So this covers the second point of long range and short range order. The third point is a very small point, that is its melting point. Okay, melting point in crystalline solids is sharp and characteristic. Okay, sharp means what? Sharp means it will melt at the same temperature if you conduct the temperature test again and again. Okay, sharp means if a solid melts at say 150 degrees Celsius, it will melt at 150 degrees Celsius at every single time you melt it. Okay, it is very sharp. You can easily tell that. And amorphous solids will melt over a range of temperatures, which means depending on the conditions, they will show different temperature melting points. Okay. Okay, so the next point is heat of fusion. I'm sure you know what is the heat of fusion. Okay, if you don't know, here it is the definition. Heat of fusion is the heat required to melt per unit mass of that substance. Okay. So heat of fusion for crystalline solids is definite and it is characteristic. Again, just like melting point. Okay. Fusion means melting. You can fix that in your mind. Okay. Some students get confused. Even when we say enthalpy of fusion, fusion means melting. Okay, solid to liquid. Heat required to melt per unit mass is called as heat of fusion. It is definite and it is characteristic in crystalline solids, whereas in amorphous solids it is not definite. Now coming to the fifth point. Crystalline solids are called as true solids and amorphous solids are called as pseudo solids. Because of the two above points, we saw the third point was the melting point, the fourth point was the heat of fusion. they have sharp and characteristic properties, which means they have a sharp melting point, they have a sharp heat of fusion, hence they are called as true solids. They exhibit the same characters every time, just like a true friend, right? So when do you say a person is your true friend? So when he does not change his characters as per his need and as per his requirements, right? That time he is a true friend. So in the same way, when the solids display the same characteristic properties over any condition, they are called as true solids. Whereas pseudo solids, you know what is pseudo? Pseudo means false, okay, fake. Pseudo solids, okay, their properties depend on external factors like temperature and pressure and all that. This you can compare to fake friends, okay. Fake friends will change their behavior every time depending on the nature of the external factors like their requirements, their needs, their situations in life and so on, okay. The same way pseudo solids, their properties depend on external factors like temperature and pressure, okay. So this point again is important, an important point of difference. Crystalline solids are true solids, amorphous solids are pseudo solids, okay. Okay, so the sixth point of difference is their nature. So here you have to know one term, actually two terms, that is anisotropic and isotropic. You can also pronounce this as anisotropic also, okay. So isotropic and anisotropic. So what is the meaning of that? Some of the physical properties like electrical resistance or refractive index show different values when measured along different directions in the same crystal. Okay, so this is an important definition. Anisotropic means that the same solid, we are talking about crystalline solids here, okay. Crystalline solids show anisotropic nature at times. Why? Because you can see the reason explained in this diagram. Now this is a crystalline solids. You see the green dots very regularly arranged and the pink dots below. Okay, these are atoms or molecules or ions you can consider. Now if you measure any property like refractive index, okay, refractive, to know what is refractive index you can read on your older textbooks or you can Google and see what is refractive index, okay. So if you measure refractive index from the point A to B, the arrangement of particles here is different if you see from this point of view, correct. So it will show one value for refractive index. And for example, if you measure it from here, C to D, then you can see only the green dots in this line. I'm just giving an example, okay. So the point of view makes a difference here, kind of. So if you measure from C to D, the refractive index might show a different value, and if you measure from A to B, the refractive index might show a different value. This is true even for electrical resistance. You know what is electrical resistance? Go back to your electricity chapter in 10th standard or even your physics. You know what is electrical resistance. So those properties differ when the arrangement is crystalline, okay. And isotropic means this is shown by amorphous solids. The value of any physical property is same along any direction, okay. Why it is same? You might say it is haphazardly arranged and how come this is slightly contradicting to our earlier statements. But isotropic, why do they exhibit isotropic behavior? Is because they are haphazardly arranged and the value of that, for example, refractive index will be the same as if you consider the whole molecule as such or whole compound as such, because anyhow you measure it, it will be showing the same value, okay. That is called as isotropic, and crystalline it is anisotropic. Please remember all these terms, okay. like we saw true solids, pseudo solids, anisotropic, isotropic. Okay, so all these terms you have to remember. Okay, now moving on to the seventh point.